Hi everyone, this is Kovid, your host at Beyond the Code by Typo. I am back with another episode and a really passionate and a growth oriented engineering leader as a guest. He has 10 plus years of experience in engineering, leadership, and management. He is currently serving as a director of engineering at Giraffe 360. And you can find him next at the DevWorld conference on 29th of February in Amsterdam, talking about the team design. Pleasure to have you here, Harijs. Welcome to the
Hi,
show.
COVID. Awesome. Yeah, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Great. So, Harijs, before we start and deep dive into your experiences, challenges that you have seen while scaling startups, I think there is something that I want to know more about you. The audience wants to know more about you. We have this quick fireside chat where we'll be asking you some personal questions outside of work so that we know you better. Are you ready for that?
Yeah, of course.
All right, let's get started. My first question: how do you unwind your day? What are your hobbies, passion outside of tech?
Yeah, I try to unwind by watching or listening something of my interest, sometimes reading. I do like chess a lot. Sometimes watch some videos. Do certain type of literature, but it can change. And there was a period I was very eager into learning different languages, so I used to just listen audiobooks in, in different languages. But yeah, that's it goes like in phases. Some months you have more passion in one direction, and then it changes.
So, what are you reading these days? Like, is there anything going on?
Well, at the moment, I currently have a phase. I'm actually pretty interested in Vedic literature, so I've been looking into
Okay,
Vedas more. Actually, just recently read through Rig Veda, so that's sort of
that's nice. I think
current
that
interest.
that being an Indian, I haven't read that yet, and I think it's amazing to know that you are reading it. Any
Yeah,
specific things that you came across while reading the Vedas?
well, it's a collection, huge collection of different hymns, and it's very poetic language. You don't really read it as a prose, but there's something behind the words that you just feel it, that it's quite inspiring. So the very process of reading itself is a very uplifting experience.
That's nice, amazing. That's a very different choice, actually.
Well, it
Cool.
serves well as unwinding after a long day of work and meetings and a lot of information handling. So you read it not for the sake of comprehending information and perceiving every word, but you just read it for the feeling, for the switch of context. And before bed, it's very
That's
very
right. Yeah,
blissful.
agree. Well, that's interesting. Moving on to our next question. Well, we all are techies, so I just can't skip this question. I just want to know, like, how was your first encounter with technology, with computers?
Yeah, well, if we talk about desktop computer, I think my father brought one home in around '96 from his office. I believe, of course, it was Windows 95. And yeah, we just spent the evening playing with Paint and Microsoft Word Clip Art and Minesweeper. So that was I think the
So
very first
is that the
encounter.
time when you really fell in love with computers, or it was just a
Um,
thing at that time?
N- that was an insufficient experience to fall in love, but I was always passionate about technology, playing the NES video game console, that sort of things. But I really gravitated towards computers. I think when we got the first computer at home, I think it was like a year or two later. And then I just loved going through all the settings in a control panel and just figuring everything out. I started making my first website by saving Word documents as HTML files, and there were links to other pages, so it's super
Yeah.
static, made in Word. But yeah, that was my first attempt to make a website, and then I thought, oh yeah, this is something I really enjoy doing, creating these experiences and links, hyperlinks, jumping to one content to another.
Nice, nice. All right, that's amazing. Moving on to the next thing, I think this is very important for all the audience to know, and I am being very curious here. I ask this almost all the guests: what's their success for mantra in
Yeah,
life?
yeah, I resonate with the saying. I didn't come this far to only come this far. I really like that one. It's acknowledging that there's always a next mountain to be conquered after you done something, and you have to never give up, stay persistent, and never
Yeah,
settle
I
on
think
that.
that is coming from that growth mindset that you have, like the challenges that you see. you find climbing mountains and it's like seeing what's on top of that. So it's always good to be like exploring things and knowing things and then finding challenges to overcome them. So yeah, perfect, perfect. But still, there is one thing that I would want to know. What do you think that makes you go in this direction? What is that realization that pushes you to be a growth mindset person? Because it definitely takes a toll, right? It's not like very straightforward that you say that, okay, every time I just want to do something. There has to be some inspiration from within to do this.
Because curiosity plays a big role, and just letting go of the past, shackles of the past, so to say. Even though yeah, it's maybe past achievements, but you want to sort of step beyond that. You don't want to stay on that level forever.
Nice. I think that's a very interesting point. I think curiosity always helps you move in that direction. What I have felt is something which is related to, I should not say survival, but a peaceful survival is what pushes at least me. Even I believe and I feel that I have that growth mindset that this peaceful survival, if you want to have in this world, you have to be growing all the time. And it's not just like career, in all the aspects of life. So yeah, just sharing my thought here.
Yeah, it's the way of nature, right? Sometimes you have sometimes
Yeah.
to run, stay just where you are. It's like the Red Queen in Alice in Wonderland. It said, right? You have to run as fast as you can, just stay where you are. That's the evolution.
Yeah.
Pushes us
Yeah.
all forward.
Perfect. All right. That's some interesting talk. Well, moving to the main section now, where we would love to know how you have progressed through your engineering career, what challenges you have seen. So, starting with the first thing, like tell us something about your experience where you have seen that scale up journey. You have seen that transition from a room to a 60-member dev team, moving from to-do lists to Kanbans to Scrums, right? And this whole thing, what role you played as a tech team member, as a tech leader here?
Yeah, well, if we're talking about experience with Giraffe 360, initially I came on board building upon my front end developer experience in the past years. So I joined to start basically a new front end project, a new dashboard, and started working closely with the team. But it came quite quickly apparent that you would need a bit of better way of organizing. So we started Scrum in one team, a bit of more structure around planning things. Also started, demos, and then we quickly got quite productive compared to the rest of the company and the team. And backend became sort of a bottleneck. Then I then I joined that team and started the process there. Then it went to another team, which was more handling the platform side of things. So it went a bit of like like an avalanche ball. So just getting momentum and then pulling other teams with interest in the same process. And meanwhile, there was the Series A financing round had finished, so there were funds to really grow the team. We also embraced the outsource model with team augmentation. So just bolstering our capacity with some outsource members, which basically on a day-to-day basis worked as in-house employees, just joining the teams. And yeah, that really forced us to grow further, create more structure, organization. That of course was challenging, put a strain on communication. Some old-time members were struggling, of course, with the change because they were used to certain type of environment, culture. As often in smaller or earlier stage startups, you see hero culture forming. Like a lot of things happen because of some few but very capable key individuals who do a lot, who can do a lot. But also, as you grow further, as you need to organize better, communicate more scalably, and sort of try to get rid of bottlenecks or bus factors that people can just safely leave on vacation and things don't stop. And delegation can happen. Yeah, those people then struggle because they get used to a certain way of working that also, of course, combines with a bit of feeling of their status or achievement or importance. So yeah, that is an issue that can be
That
challenging.
you have faced during this journey. Yeah. So let's say these kind of people who are there in the team, at times these people, inspire other people to like come up, step up. But at the same time, as you said, that it is a double-edged sword. These people then becomes an issue in the team also. So how do you create that balance? How do you handle such people who are actually very good for the team in terms of the efficiency, or if I have to use this word, productivity. But how do you handle these people? As you said, like you face them as an issue also over a period of time when the teams are scaling. So how do you handle that?
Yeah. Well, I think as you grow, yeah, it's really vital. If you haven't been doing before, start doing regular one-on-ones. That's one of the best ways, best windows to actually see the state of your team, apart from surface metrics, that sort of thing. And yeah, try to guide them through this transition, explaining what the phases we're going in, what kind of role is, and what kind of benefits there are from being able to let go, being able to delegate, and being able to instead of being in the center of things, but being the one who documents things well, sets things up for automation, oversees the process that happens well, and yeah, that they can leave on safely on vacation, and just turn their phone off for 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. Cool. So I think most of the people who are in that category would definitely come on a one-on-one, listen to you. I feel that maybe 10% or max 20% of those people would actually have that feeling of changing themselves after those discussions. So these 10-20% people probably who would change after these discussions or one-on-ones, what do you think really clicked with them that you explained or the other leaders in the team explained that hit them hard to change their behavior from being that bossy nature to being more cooperative, more understanding, and leading with the team, not just leading the team the way they are thinking? So, do you think there is any specific thing that actually clicked with those people?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I think that ties into psychology, and yeah, they can be very diverse depending on the nature of the person. But the
Yeah.
underlying factors are that the company, of course, is evolving and changing and growing, and unless a catastrophe happens, it won't, go back to earlier stages. And that this is just a new status quo, and everyone just needs to come to terms with it in a as healthy manner as possible. Acknowledge that, yeah, if some expectations are not being met, or somebody is still attached to older ways of working, or still have that sense of
Yeah.
urgency that used to be there in earlier days, that 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 pivoting happened more often, that every client request was super urgent and important because, yeah, there were only few clients. But yeah, realization needs to come that those days are gone, and we need to operate a bit more at thinking more about long term, about just having things operate sustainably and without too much upheavals in chaos or stress, that we need to think about developer burnout. That's also, of course, a big thing.
So basically, what you're saying is it's a collective effect of a lot of factors that could help them change their nature, right? It's not
Yes,
probably just
yes,
one thing that pushes them to,
yes,
yeah, yeah, I
yes.
get.
It's not a conversation that convinces them, like solid argumentation, because arguments don't always work. Especially in psychology, a lot of things just based on our
Right.
feelings, and arguments cannot always penetrate that.
Definitely. Makes sense. Makes sense. I think let's move on to the next thing that I would love to hear. So when you're scaling, right? Initial stages, as you said, you have less clients. You have to like move really, really, really fast, right? You really end up building some fixes, and ultimately 2 years down the line, when probably you have that series A and you are becoming stable, you realize you have created a lot of technical debt, right? It happens to everyone probably. How consciously were you taking those decisions in those first 2 years or 1 year of the journey, and then how in the retrospect you thought it could have been done even better? Just tell us
Mhm.
about that experience of handling the technical debt when you are in the 0 to 1 and the 1 to 10 stage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's an inevitable consequence. Yeah, technical debt persists throughout, I think, our industry, especially when you move fast. And in early stages, every client request is almost like a push for pivot, because you're still finding that product market fit, and every client feedback is vital for you. So you often, find yourself changing slightly or a bit more direction quite often, just to cater to that client needs, to, so they stay on board, and often they are a good signal for other clients, what would make
Right.
them to join your client base. So that inevitably leads to creating a tech debt. In my philosophy, I think ideal way to handle tech debt is to acknowledge that it exists and to factor solving it in future feature development. So don't just say, okay, we're gonna take 2 next sprints just handling tech debt. That usually doesn't sit well with business and product, because they always want to see some sort of incremental progress. However, you can sort of balance those both needs by saying, okay, yeah, we're going to work on this feature, but as we work on this feature, we also gonna solve the technical debt that this feature touches, so we can be in a
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
state. Yeah, this feature will take more time. Maybe it will take 3 sprints instead of one, but doing so, we will both deliver that feature for you, and we'll have sorted out some X amount of technical debt. That I think is the best way. However, in practice, of course, it doesn't always
There's
go that nice, and sometimes,
yeah.
we have had that. We operate with SAX cadence, so this quarterly cycle of feature development and then a release event, announcing it to the clients, to the public, and then the sales and marketing can build upon that. And there's another cycle of 3 months. So we also had that some team was very pushing forward just to get some features out, so we could have some relief on the other parts of the company where where that feature helped a lot of automation and reduced a lot of manual processes internally. So we just pushed on to get it out of the door. And the next quarter, we said, okay, yeah, this team now has done a lot. They really rushed. Okay, this quarter, they will be more quiet on the new feature development. They will solve the technical debt part so that in the future they can go faster again. That has also ended up happening, and I think it's fine at the end of the day.
Makes
But,
sense.
the
No, definitely.
first version of what I explained, I think it's more wholesome, more healthier, better if it's possible to pull off.
All right. So I think it's more about being conscious to not just completely, you should not just completely ignore that aspect, because anyway, you're going to carry some technical debt. You can't just solve it and build perfect software at day one. But you can definitely be conscious about it, be considerate of the overall business scenario situation, and then take a call that, okay, this is the percentage of technical debt that we are going to cater to. Of course, you cannot like quantify it completely, but still there can be some level of focus given to catering to technical debt while building the features also, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Perfect. I think with all this going on, I think what becomes most important is that there should be alignment in the team. Like without the team alignment, having that hyper growth in the 0 to 1 phase or 1 to 10 phase is very difficult. So when you lead teams, you have to have the same success criterias for them, or maybe some specific success criterias for them to align with the business goals so that the business is achieving what it wants to. But when it comes to engineering teams, I would like to know it from you. How do you define engineering success? How do you measure it? And while all this is going on, I feel that a very important part which you just mentioned, that we should take care of the developer burnout, with the fact of taking care of the developer well-being also comes in. So defining success for engineering team, measuring it, and looking after the developer experience, developer well-being. How do you do that in a startup in this stage where you need hypergrowth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, we actually are still finding our way with when it comes to like metrics and that sort of thing, because it of course it takes also a bit of time to collect them and to make sure they're consistent across time, so they can actually be based upon to make some decisions. So we still operate often more of a sense or common sense when it comes down to that. But I think I'm also converging on the opinion, as I think the most of the industry, that DORA metrics at the team level are quite reliable signals of how well the team is doing. So
Right.
they have 4 metrics in there. Two deal of them with stability, and two with velocity. So velocity, I believe, is the lead time for changes, and
Right.
the deployment frequency. That is how fast you're going. So the faster you're going probably is better. Means
Yeah.
you can react faster. And another two, what was this? Change failure rate and recovery time is stability. So how stable you are, how often you are introducing changes that need to be rolled back, or
Right.
if you do that, how long it takes for you to recover. And if those are low, it means you're quite stable. And if you go if those all 4 metrics are good, means you're going as fast as you can, and you're still doing it in a stable and reliable manner. Means then you're doing great.
Yeah. Yes.
Um, and when it comes to developers, well, of course, a big red flag is if you happen to have too high employee turnover, or you see burnout happening too often. That is a big
How
signal.
do you identify burnout? Like if somebody is in that zone, how do you do that?
Yeah, that I think one-on-ones, both
Are the
with the
best way
team
to
lead
identify.
and sort of and team leads with their team members. I think that is very, very important to catch these signals early. I know when it happens first time in career, when you encounter burnout, it's actually a lot of people don't notice that it sneaks up. Also, when in the past I had my first one, yeah, it just snuck upon me, and then it was too late.
Sorry to interrupt you here, but I would love the audience who might be feeling the same should know that it's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to come up and talk to your managers or leaders to actually resolve this problem. Because I think in that situation, I personally have been in that zone. So I would love to know, like, what does it feel like and what did you do about it when you went into that burnout zone?
Yeah, it's a difficult state because once you're in it, you cannot reason out of it, and it's not like a weekend recovery to get out of it. It usually takes months, so it's a serious state. I still see it as a long-term accumulation of stress that was not properly dealt with. I think a long time ago, I saw some psychology lecture. Well, I'm going to use a glass. If you hold the glass like this, it's pretty lightweight. You can hold it like this. But if you hold it like this for, I don't know, 2 minutes, it gets a bit heavy. Hold it for
Right.
5 minutes, it's quite heavy. So I don't know. Maybe you can make it to 10 minutes or even 25 if you're resistant. But at some point, even though it's super light, uh, it's gonna hurt a lot in your arm. It's gonna be a lot of pain, and yeah, you won't be able to do much with that arm for a long time. Well, not long, but significant time enough. And that just shows that even a small amount of load, if carried for too long time without letting go, for having rest moments in between, can result in a huge strain and basically loss of capacity for a while. So yeah, that's the analogy there. And first time, yeah, it just sneaks upon you because yeah, you just been doing a lot, not letting go, often thinking about problems, in evenings and weekends. Maybe there's some sort of personal trouble as well at home, family relationship that adds to the load. And yeah, one day you realize, wow, you don't have energy to be creative, to want something, to think something. You just wanna, yeah, you just wanna, I don't know, you don't want anything, and that's a
Yeah,
very sad.
right. Exactly. I mean, there have been scenarios, I think this is from my personal experience, where personally everything was fine. I'm happy home, having a good time with my wife, my parents. But when it comes to particularly work, it seemed like the weight is there always, right? So, I mean, as you said, like it could be something going on personally and then at work wise, and then you're overloaded. I mean, I have felt that I was happy at home, but not feeling the same when it came to work. And of course, reasons are different for everyone, but burnout could be just related to your work where you are not getting what you need from that environment. So, yeah, I think good we touched on this point. I think the audience would be becoming more aware of this situation scenario and probably have more courage to deal with these kind of situations. All right, coming back, to the engineering metrics and the success of an engineering team. So you mentioned about the Dora metrics, right? Right now in your team, you said you don't go by the metrics or you don't go by these things. You just go by your gut feeling and the.
We pay attention to those, but yeah, we don't have actually like system set up that that measures and tracks across time. We sort of look at it back and look up data when we need it, and sort of have a good sense where we are. But we have some way to go there to have it more
No,
reliable and
no,
consistent
absolutely fine.
and
I think,
fluctuating.
yeah, I think it's not like very common yet that everyone is using those metrics or tools around those to actually understand what's going on in the teams, but they do have this sense of what's going on in the team. So my interest is to know Like if you don't have these proper frameworks in place, let's say, what exactly on day-to-day basis or weekly or monthly basis you look at to ensure okay things are going fine? Like I would just want you to like
Mhm.
reflect on that 1 month of maybe 2 sprints or 1 sprint, however you follow it. How does it look like? How do you ensure that things are going fine?
Yeah, well, there are a couple of signals. I think it tells everyone, even laymen, that things are doing well. So your team is energetic, right? They feel they're winning. They like the challenge they're solving, and they're solving it in a reliable time. We are building features or product that our clients like and they use, and of course, yeah, there's feedback. And if there is negative feedback, we react to it fast, and we don't introduce too many bugs that keep us bug fixing for you
Right.
um, a disproportionate amount of time. And there's a lack of frequent incidents. Of course, incidents can happen. That's normal. But yeah, if they end up happening weekly, depending on the system, of course, then there's something is wrong.
Yeah, makes sense. I think even if you're not following certain framework, I think the signals that you're looking at ultimately point towards the important things that you should be looking at. I think that really helps you going. Probably when the teams are really big, you would have to have a proper process, a framework in place where you have objectivity on what's going on each metric. But right now, probably with a 50, 60 team size, also you're able to manage seeing what's going on, if the bugs are increasing, is the team motivated or not. And then this is really amazing point that the first point you said is the team energetic and motivated or not. I think that covers the 80% of what is actually expected to be there as a developer experience, as a team experience, that everyone should be motivated and energetic, taking feedback, doing less number of bugs, doing more, delivering fast. I think always happens on top of it if the core is aligned and motivated. So yeah, I think that's perfect, Harijs. It's really nice knowing that you are taking care of your team, not just work wise, but in general how they are feeling. So that's really nice. So I think this was my last question that I just wanted to ask. In the interest of time, I'll just ask one more question. I mean, you told about how these metrics work out for you and how do you handle that. One thing that I want to understand from you is when you set goals for your team particular, right? How do you exactly do that? Is it just some engineering achievements that you have to have at the end of the month or at the end of the sprint, or are you linking it to some product or business metrics also?
We are mostly guided by uh, product features or quarterly goals the business and product wants to see, and it comes in the form of a new feature, new functionality being delivered to the customers. We track it at the quarterly level. At the sprint level, we do have a lot of freedom for the team leads to decide on the pace or the priorities. They sometimes can and do decide to tackle a bit of technical depth so they can move faster to the goal in the next sprints. Yeah, the quarter and product feature delivery is just sort of our milestone cadence.
Maximum. It makes sense. I think just keeping things tied to the engineering achievements would not be appropriate, because at the end of the day, product and engineering works together to deliver the features, to deliver the product. So ultimately, the goal is to make the customer happy and deliver as much as possible for the customer. So aligning that, the engineering team with that is really, really important. Perfect. All right, Haris. I think it was a really nice conversation. It was a pleasure having you. Thanks a lot.
Likewise, yeah. Thank you for having me. Was a great conversation. Have a great day.
You too, Haris.